President Ryu Dasam stood before the Great Assembly Hall of Harmony Station, looking out at representatives from 847 different worlds. 6 months ago, most of these species had no voice in galactic affairs. Now they sat as equals in the reformed Galactic Assembly, each one with the right to speak, vote, and shape the future of their civilization. Fellow beings, she began, her words translated into hundreds of languages. We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners in building a better galaxy. In the front rows sat the former leaders of the Vorthak Empire and Nixari Confederation. They looked uncomfortable but attentive. Their empires had been shattered, their military power broken, but their people lived. Earth had chosen reconstruction over revenge. Secretary General Park Chan-woo watched from the diplomatic section. For 6 months, he had coordinated the most complex peace process in galactic history. Enslaved species were being liberated, damaged worlds were being repaired, and former enemies were learning to work together. The old system is dead, President Ryu Dasam continued. For too long, the strong ruled through fear while the weak suffered in silence. That era has ended forever. Admiral Im Soo-jin sat with the military commanders from dozens of species. Her peacekeeping fleet included ships from former enemies, all working together to maintain order during the transition. Vorthak crystal ships flew alongside Nixari energy vessels, their crews learning to trust each other. Dr. Anbora smiled as she listened to the president's speech. Her rehabilitation programs had helped millions of former slaves adjust to freedom, while teaching their former masters to see other species as equals. The work was slow and difficult, but it was succeeding. Today I want to share with you humanity's final surprise, President Ryu Dasam announced. The weapons that brought fear to this galaxy will now bring hope. A massive holographic display appeared above the assembly, showing the Erebus and her sister ships. But they looked different now. The weapon arrays had been modified, their planet-killing beams converted into something entirely new. The Planetary Decimation Array has been rebuilt as the Planetary Restoration Array, the president explained. The same technology that could destroy worlds can now repair them. The display showed before and after images of Kethmoran. The dead world that had been the Vorthak Empire's pride was green again. Oceans sparkled under a restored sun. Cities rose from the plains built by cooperative teams of humans, Vorthak, and dozens of other species. Impossible, whispered former Vorthak Prime Minister Kathavar from his seat in the assembly. The core was destabilized. The magnetic field collapsed. Dr. Han Young-soo's team found a way to restart it, President Ryu Dasam replied. The gravitational manipulation technology can rebuild a planet's core just as easily as it can destroy it. Kethmoran is alive again, and it will be returned to your people when the reconstruction is complete. Secretary General Park Chan-woo stood to address the assembly. Over the past 6 months, we have liberated 347 enslaved worlds and begun repairs on 89 planets damaged by strip mining. The former oppressor civilizations are providing resources and labor for these projects as part of their reparations. Admiral Im Soo-jin added, the peacekeeping fleet now includes ships from 63 different species. Former enemies train together, serve together, and protect the peace together. We have had 0 conflicts between member civilizations since the new order began. In the audience, a small figure raised her hand. It was Ambassador Trillion of the Mektari, a species that had been enslaved for over 300 years. 6 months ago, the Mektari were considered property. Now their representative sat in the front row of the Galactic Assembly. President Ryu Dasam, Trillion said in her musical voice, my people want to know, why did humanity choose mercy? You could have ruled the galaxy through fear, just like the old empires. Why rebuild instead of conquer? President Ryu Dasam smiled. Because that's not who we are. Humans learned long ago that true strength comes from lifting others up, not tearing them down. We fought to defend ourselves and free the oppressed. Once that was accomplished, the fighting was finished. Dr. Anbora activated another display showing the psychological rehabilitation centers on hundreds of worlds. We discovered that many primitive species had advanced knowledge in areas humanity never explored. The Mektari understanding of quantum biology is centuries ahead of our own. The Veltar mastery of dimensional mathematics has revolutionized our technology. Working together, we have achieved more in 6 months than any single civilization accomplished in 1,000 years, Secretary General Park Chan-woo added. The galaxy is stronger when every voice is heard. Former Nexari overlord Zephyron, now a simple representative of his energy-based people, spoke for the first time since the war ended. I must ask, what happens to the Erebus and her sister ships? Will you keep them as threats over our heads? Admiral Im Sujin answered. The planet killer vessels still patrol the galaxy, but their mission has changed. They protect the weak from the strong. They ensure that no species will ever again face the choice between slavery and extinction. As long as peace is maintained, their weapons will remain silent. President Ryu Dasam gestured to the viewing ports around the assembly hall. Through them, representatives could see the bustling activity of Harmony Station. Ships from hundreds of worlds docked at the enormous facility. Beings who had been enemies months before worked side by side on construction projects, research teams, and cultural exchanges. This station itself is proof of what we can accomplish together, she said. Built by joint teams using technology from dozens of civilizations, powered by new energy sources that don't require enslaving other species, and defended by volunteers from across the galaxy. A young Vorthak engineer named Kalith stood up. My grandfather helped design the weapons that destroyed the Veltar homeworld 200 years ago. Today I work with Veltar scientists to restore that world. This change seemed impossible, but it happened. How do we make sure it lasts? Dr. Anbora answered. By remembering that cooperation is always stronger than domination. By teaching our children that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. And by never forgetting the price of returning to the old ways. The Assembly voted on the final articles of the new Galactic Constitution. Every species, from the most advanced to the most recently discovered, had an equal voice. The old system of rule by strength was replaced by rule by consensus. As the session ended, President Ryu Dasam made one final announcement. In closing, I want to share something that was decided in humanity's highest councils, before we ever revealed our true capabilities. The moment we achieved the power to dominate the galaxy, we chose instead to serve it. The Erebus and her sister ships are not humanity's weapons. They belong to all of us now. They are the guardians of freedom for every species that calls this galaxy home. Admiral Im Sujin added, any civilization that attempts to return to the old ways of oppression and slavery will face the combined might of all free species. We are stronger together than any empire has ever been alone. As representatives from 847 worlds filed out of the assembly hall, they carried with them something that had been missing from the galaxy for millennia: hope. Children who had been born into slavery would grow up free. Worlds that had been stripped bare would bloom again. Species that had lived in fear would reach for the stars. The age of galactic oppression was over. In its place rose something unprecedented, a true community of worlds, protected by the species that had once been dismissed as barely evolved apes. The Erebus still patrolled the darkness between stars, its weapons ready but silent. Its message was clear to any who might threaten the peace. The galaxy belonged to all its children now, and humanity would ensure it stayed that way. The greatest victory was not conquering enemies, but showing them a better way to live. And in the end, that lesson changed everything. Fleet Admiral Baek-Soo Hwan stood in Earth's orbital command center, watching the largest invasion fleet in galactic history approach the solar system. 10,000 ships from 17 different civilizations were coming to destroy humanity once and for all. Sir, the alien fleet will reach the outer system in 6 hours, reported his aide, Commander Cho Yeon-soo. They're broadcasting demands for immediate surrender on all frequencies. What exactly are they demanding? Baek-Soo Hwan asked. Complete disarmament, surrender of all human leadership for trial, and relocation of Earth's population to mining colonies. They're calling the attack on Kethmaran an act of terrorism. Baek-Soo Hwan almost smiled. The aliens still didn't understand what they were facing. They thought humanity had gotten lucky with a surprise attack. They believed their massive numbers would overwhelm Earth's defenses. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Commander Cho, signal all hidden platforms. Activate Phase 1 of the defense plan. Throughout the solar system, objects that had looked like ordinary asteroids for decades began to power up. Weapon platforms disguised as space rocks revealed themselves, their targeting systems locking onto the approaching alien fleet. Each platform carried enough firepower to destroy a cruiser. Captain Yu Jin-A reports her stealth squadron is in position, Commander Cho Yeon-soo announced. They're inside the enemy formation and ready to strike. Captain Eugene commanded 50 of humanity's most advanced stealth destroyers. While the aliens focused on the massive fleet battle they expected, her ships were already among them, invisible to their sensors and preparing to attack from within. Major Lee Si-hoon's Marines have boarded 17 enemy flagships, Commander Cho Yeon-soo continued. They're standing by for synchronized assault. Major Lee Si-hoon led Earth's elite space marines equipped with personal cloaking devices and quantum armor that made them nearly invincible. They had used the aliens' own teleporter technology to board enemy ships hours before the battle began. Dr. Ko Min-jung, status on electronic warfare systems? Bak Soo-hwan asked. Dr. Ko Min-jung looked up from her computer arrays. AI systems are ready to jam all enemy communications. Once we activate the interference field, their ships won't be able to coordinate with each other. Excellent. Signal the Erebus and her sister ships. It's time to end this war before it really begins. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the solar system's edge, in perfect formation. Admiral Kethvor of the Vorthak Empire commanded the invasion from his flagship, the massive dreadnought Crystal Judgment. Beside him, Nexari war leader Zeftal controlled the energy beings portion of the fleet. Scan the system, Admiral Kethvor ordered. I want to know the location of every human ship. Sir, we're detecting approximately 300 human vessels, his sensor officer reported. Most appear to be small patrol ships and cargo haulers. No major warships visible. Admiral Kethvor felt satisfied. The humans were even weaker than intelligence reports suggested. His fleet could destroy Earth's entire space force in minutes. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. The humans are transmitting a message. Fleet Admiral Baek Soo-hwan's face appeared on the alien flagship's main screen. Admiral Kethvor, war leader Zeftal, and commanders of the coalition fleet. You have entered Earth's solar system with hostile intent. This is your only warning. Leave now or face the consequences. Admiral Kethvor laughed. Human, you destroyed one fortress world through trickery. We have 10,000 ships. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. I tried to warn you, Baek Soo-hwan replied, and his image disappeared. That's when the solar system exploded into action. The asteroid belt erupted with weapons fire as hundreds of hidden platforms revealed themselves. Energy beams and missile salvos struck the alien fleet before they could react. Ships on the formation's edge began exploding as their shields failed under the unexpected assault. We're under attack, shouted the sensor officer on Admiral Kethvor's flagship. Weapons platforms throughout the system. How did we miss them? Before Admiral Kethvor could answer, Captain Eugene's stealth destroyers decloaked inside the alien formation. The small human ships moved like deadly dancers, striking at the larger alien vessels with precision weapons that cut through their hulls like knives through paper. Internal explosions on decks 7 through 15, reported the Crystal Judgment's damage control officer.
Human soldiers are inside the ship.
Major Lee Si-hoon and his Marines had been waiting for this moment. Using their cloaking devices and advanced weapons, they moved through the alien flagship like ghosts, destroying vital systems and eliminating crew members who tried to stop them. Sir, we've lost communication with 60% of the fleet, the communications officer announced. Some kind of jamming field is blocking all signals. Dr. Ko Min-jung's AI systems had activated, flooding the alien networks with viruses and interference. Ships that relied on coordinated tactics found themselves fighting alone, unable to contact their commanders or coordinate their attacks. War leader Zeftal tried to rally his energy-based ships, but they faced an enemy unlike anything they had encountered. Human vessels appeared and disappeared like phantoms, striking without warning and vanishing before the aliens could respond. This is impossible, Admiral Kethvor shouted as another section of his ship exploded. How can they be so advanced? The answer came in the form of 3 massive shapes emerging from hyperspace. The Erebus and her sister ships, Nemesis and Retribution, appeared directly in the center of the alien formation. Each ship was 5 kilometers of pure destruction, armed with weapons that could crack planets. Target the command ships, ordered Captain Shin Woo-jin from the Erebus bridge. Show them what we showed Kethmoran. The 3 planet-killer ships opened fire simultaneously. Their main weapons, designed to destroy worlds, made short work of alien dreadnoughts. The Crystal Judgment lasted 18 seconds before its crystal hull shattered into a million pieces. War leader Zeftal's energy ship simply ceased to exist. Dispersed into harmless radiation, sir. We're receiving surrender signals from the remaining alien vessels, reported Lieutenant Colonel Oh Ji-hoon. The fleet is breaking apart. Most ships are trying to escape, but there was nowhere to run. Human forces had surrounded the entire system, and more ships kept appearing from hidden bases throughout local space. The aliens found themselves trapped in a battle they couldn't win against an enemy they had completely underestimated. Fleet Admiral Beck, Captain Shin Woo-jin's voice came over the communication system. The Erebus is ready to demonstrate our full capabilities. Should we target the enemy homeworlds? Baek Soo-hwan considered the offer. 3 more Erebus-class ships were already in position above the Vorthak and Nixari capital worlds. One word from him and the heart of both empires would become lifeless rocks. No, he decided. Signal the surviving alien ships. Tell them the war is over. Throughout the solar system, the remains of the Great Invasion fleet drifted in space. Of 10,000 ships, fewer than 1,000 survived, and most of those were damaged beyond repair. The coalition of civilizations that had come to crush humanity lay in ruins. Open a channel to all surviving vessels, Baek Soo-hwan ordered. His image appeared on every functioning alien ship in the system. Commanders of the coalition fleet, this war is over. You came here to destroy humanity because you believed we were weak. You were wrong. We are not conquerors, we are defenders, but we will defend ourselves with whatever force is necessary. He paused, letting his words sink in. Your surviving ships may leave this system and return to your homeworlds. Take this message with you. Earth offers peace to any civilization willing to coexist with respect and equality. But any species that threatens humanity or enslaves other intelligent life will face the same fate as your invasion fleet. As the battered alien ships limped away from Earth, news of the battle spread across the galaxy. The species that had ruled through fear and oppression for millennia had been defeated by the barely evolved apes they had dismissed. Major Lee Si-hoon and his Marines returned to their ships, their mission complete. Captain Eugene's stealth squadron regrouped for new assignments. Dr. Ko Min-jung began monitoring alien communications for signs of further resistance, but the war was over. The galaxy's greatest military powers had thrown everything they had at humanity and failed completely. Now it was time to build something better from the ruins of the old order. Commander Cho, Fleet Admiral Baek Soo-hwan said, "Signal President Ryu Da-sam on Earth. Tell her the system is secure, and it's time to begin the real work. The real work of building a galaxy where no species would ever again face the choice between slavery and extinction." Captain Shin Woo-jin stood on the bridge of the Erebus, watching the star charts as his ship moved through hyperspace toward the Kethmoran system. In 12 hours, the Galactic Council's deadline would expire. They expected humanity to surrender completely or face destruction. Instead, humanity was bringing destruction to them. "Captain, we're approaching the target system," reported Lieutenant Colonel Oh Ji-hoon from the navigation station. "The Vorthak Fortress world is exactly where our intelligence said it would be." Dr. Lim Yoonbi looked up from her weapons console. "All systems are green. The planetary decimation array is charged and ready. Quantum tunnel torpedoes are loaded and targeting systems are online." Shin Woo-jin nodded. Kethmoran was the perfect target for their demonstration. It was the Vorthak Empire's most heavily defended world, home to their military academy and main fleet command center. If the aliens considered any planet impossible to attack, it was this one. The planet was protected by 12 layers of energy shields, each one powerful enough to stop a normal fleet. Around it orbited 60 space stations armed with weapons that could destroy entire battle groups. 200 of the Vorthak Empire's best warships patrolled the system constantly. "How long until we drop out of hyperspace?" Shin Woo-jin asked. 30 minutes, sir," Oh Ji-hoon replied. "We'll emerge at the system's edge just like the plan calls for." The plan was simple but terrifying. The Erebus would decloak directly above Kethmoran and demonstrate humanity's new weapons. The goal wasn't to kill millions of civilians. It was to show the galaxy that human technology could destroy anything the aliens had built. "Sir," called Communications Officer Park Min-seo, "we're receiving messages from the other strike teams. They're in position at their targets." Shin Woo-jin smiled grimly. While the Erebus attacked Kethmoran, 2 other ships just like it would hit major Nexari military bases. At the same time, smaller human vessels would strike targets across the galaxy. In one coordinated attack, humanity would cripple the 2 most powerful civilizations in known space. Message from Rear Admiral Song Ki-nam, Park Min-seo continued. "The hidden fleet is ready to emerge from hyperspace on your signal." "Good. Shin Woo-jin replied. Time to show these aliens what happens when they threaten Earth. The Erebus dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Catamaran system. Immediately, Vorthak sensors detected the gravity disturbance, but they couldn't see the ship itself. The cloaking technology made the massive vessel completely invisible. Enemy fleet is moving to investigate, reported Oh Ji-hoon. All 200 ships are heading toward our position. Dr. Lim Yoonbi watched her targeting computers track the approaching Vorthak vessels. Each ship was 3 times larger than anything humans had built before the Erebus. Their crystal hulls glowed with stored energy, and their weapons could turn a moon into dust. They won't expect us to attack first, she said. Alien military doctrine says unknown contacts should be surrounded and questioned. Then let's educate them, Shin Woo-jin said. Begin the demonstration. The Erebus moved deeper into the system, still cloaked and undetected. The Vorthak fleet spread out in a search pattern, their powerful scanners sweeping space for any sign of the intruder. They found nothing. Position achieved, Oh Ji-hoon announced. We're directly above the planet's north pole, 5,000 kilometers from the upper atmosphere. All weapon systems ready, Dr. Lim Yoonbi confirmed. Quantum tunnel torpedoes are locked onto the enemy fleet. Main array is targeted at the planet's core. Shin Woo-jin took a deep breath. Once he gave the order, humanity would cross a line they could never uncross. They would become the most feared species in the galaxy, capable of destroying worlds, but the alternative was extinction. Execute Operation Judgment, he commanded. The Erebus decloaked. For a moment, space around Catamaran seemed frozen. The massive human warship appeared out of nowhere, its black hull absorbing light like a piece of cutout space. The Vorthak fleet, scattered across the system in their search pattern, suddenly found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't understand. Dr. Lim Yoonbi fired the quantum tunnel torpedoes first. The weapons disappeared from the Erebus and reappeared inside the hulls of Vorthak warships, phasing through their shields like they weren't there. The aliens had seconds to realize what was happening before their reactors overloaded. One by one, the pride of the Vorthak fleet became expanding balls of plasma. Ships that had never lost a battle, vessels that had conquered dozens of worlds, died without firing a shot. In 17 minutes, 200 warships were reduced to glowing debris. Planet's defenses are activating, Oh Ji-hoon reported. All 12 shield layers are at maximum power. They're drawing energy from the reactor moon. Shin Woo-jin looked at the tactical display. Catamaran's legendary shields were impressive. They could stop anything the galaxy had ever thrown at them. The reactor moon that powered them had been converted from a natural satellite into a massive power station. It generated enough energy to supply an entire star system. Dr. Lim, show them what real power looks like, he ordered. The planetary decimation array fired a single, focused beam of gravitational force mixed with exotic matter. The beam punched through the first shield layer like it was paper. The second layer lasted 3 seconds longer. By the time the beam reached the 12th and final shield, the planet's entire defensive grid was collapsing. The beam struck Catamaran's surface and kept going. Through the crust, through the mantle, straight to the planet's molten core. The gravitational manipulators didn't explode the core, they turned it off. Core destabilization complete, Dr. Lim Yoonbi reported. The planet's magnetic field is collapsing. Tectonic activity is ceasing. Estimated time until atmospheric loss begins, 4 hours. Shin Woo-jin watched the tactical display as Catamaran began to die. The planet wasn't destroyed in a dramatic explosion. Instead, it simply stopped working. The core cooled and solidified. The magnetic field that protected the surface disappeared. Within days, the atmosphere would bleed away into space, leaving behind a cold, airless rock. Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from surviving Vorthak vessels, Park Min-seo announced, also getting emergency transmissions from the planet. They're beginning evacuation procedures. Let them evacuate, Shin Woo-jin ordered. We're not here to commit genocide. We're here to send a message. Message from the other strike teams, Park Min-seo continued. The attacks on Nexari bases were successful. Both primary targets have been neutralized. Admiral Song Ki-nam reports his fleet has secured 3 additional Vorthak systems without resistance. Shin Woo-jin activated the ship's communication array. His message would be broadcast to every major civilization in the galaxy, carried by the same networks the aliens use to coordinate their oppression. This is Captain Shin Woo-jin of the Earth vessel Erebus, speaking to the Galactic Council and all member civilizations. You demanded humanity's surrender. You threatened to destroy our worlds and enslave our people. You called us barely evolved apes who should be grateful for any attention. He paused, looking at the dying world below them. You were wrong. Earth declines your offer of subjugation. We propose new terms. Immediate liberation of all enslaved species, reparations for damaged worlds, and equal representation for every intelligent civilization in the galaxy. You have 72 hours to respond. The transmission ended. Around them, space was filled with debris from the Vorthak fleet and emergency signals from Kethmaran's evacuation ships. The fortress world that had stood unconquered for 1,000 years was now a monument to the price of underestimating humanity. Orders, sir? Ojihun asked. Set course for Earth, Shen Wujin replied, and monitor all alien communications. I have a feeling we're about to get their attention. The Erebus cloaked again and disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind a galaxy that would never look at humanity the same way again. Captain Lee Hyunwoo stared at the massive alien structure floating in space. The Galactic Council's main station looked like a crystal mountain turned upside down, with lights blinking all over its surface. His ship, the New Soul, was tiny compared to the alien vessels around them. Some ships looked like flying jewels. Others were made of pure energy that hurt to look at directly. First time seeing the Council station? Asked Dr. Park So-young, joining him at the viewing window. She was Earth's best expert on alien life, but even she looked nervous. Yeah, Lee Hyunwoo replied. Makes you feel pretty small, doesn't it? They were here because Earth wanted a seat at the big table. For 50 years, humans had been traveling between stars, meeting other species and learning about the galaxy. But they were treated like children. Other races gave them simple jobs, sold them basic technology, and acted like humans were lucky to be noticed at all. Ambassador Choi Mina was inside the station right now, asking the Council to give Earth equal rights. Lee Hyunwoo hoped it would go well, but he had a bad feeling about it. His communication device buzzed. Captain, you need to see this, came the voice of his officer, Lieutenant Nam Ji-ho. We're getting reports from the Kepler colonies. Lee Hyunwoo hurried to the bridge. On the main screen, he saw images that made his stomach turn. Human settlements on 3 different planets were surrounded by alien mining equipment, but the humans weren't operating the machines. They were being forced to work them. The Vorthak Corporation moved in last week, Lieutenant Nam Ji-ho explained. They said the humans were inefficiently using the planets. Now our people are working in the mines 18 hours a day. Dr. Park So-young gasped as she saw children carrying heavy containers of ore. This is slavery, she whispered. Get me Admiral Kim Tae-ho on Earth, Lee Hyunwoo ordered. He needs to see this. While they waited for the connection, more reports came in. The Nexari Confederation had taken over human trading posts in the Centauri system. Human merchants were forced to give up their cargo and work for free on alien ships. Anyone who complained simply disappeared. Admiral Kim Tae-ho's face appeared on screen. His expression grew dark as he watched the footage. How many colonies are affected? He asked. At least 12 that we know of, Dr. Park So-young answered. But there might be more. The aliens control most of the communication networks. And our diplomats? The Admiral asked. Ambassador Choi Mina is still in the Council meeting, Lee Hyunwoo replied. But it's been 6 hours with no word. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Captain Lee, I want you to investigate something. Dr. Park, use your research access to look up what happened to other species that challenged the Council's authority. Dr. Park So-young worked quickly, her fingers flying over the computer controls. After an hour, her face went pale. Admiral, I found records of 17 different species that asked for equal treatment in the past 1,000 years. Where are they now? Admiral Kim Tae-ho asked, though his voice suggested he already knew the answer. Gone, she whispered. All of them. The records say they chose to relocate to distant regions or decided to pursue isolation. But I checked star charts. Their home systems are empty. No life signs at all. Lee Hyunwoo felt cold. They were wiped out. It gets worse, Dr. Park So-young continued. I found communication logs from Vorthak and Nexari leaders. They call it garden maintenance. When a species becomes troublesome, they eliminate it and tell everyone else it was voluntary. Before anyone could respond, Ambassador Choi Mina's face appeared on another screen. She looked tired and upset. The Council has given us their answer, she said. And? Admiral Kim Tae-ho leaned forward. They laughed, she replied, her voice shaking with anger. The Vorthak Prime Minister called humans barely evolved apes who should be grateful for any attention. The Nixari overlord said we were only good for manual labor on dangerous planets. What about our colonies being enslaved? Lee Hyun-woo asked. They said it was efficient resource management. Human rights don't exist in their laws because they don't consider us people. Ambassador Choi Min-ah took a deep breath. But they did make us an offer. The humans waited. Complete surrender. Give up all our weapons. Accept alien governors on every human world and provide workers for their projects. In exchange, they won't destroy Earth. And if we refuse? Dr. Park So-young asked. 30 days to decide. After that, they'll send ships to enforce corrective action. The Vorthak representative was very clear. They've done this before, and they always win. The communication ended, leaving silence on the bridge. Lee Hyun-woo looked out at the alien ships around them. Each one was bigger and more advanced than anything humans had built. The council had thousands of them, maybe millions. Captain Lieutenant Nam Ji-ho said quietly, "There's something else. I've been monitoring alien communications. They're already making plans. What kind of plans? Dividing up human space. The Vorthak want our industrial worlds. The Nixari want planets with unusual energy sources. There are 12 other species arguing over who gets what." He paused. They're planning to keep about 10% of humans alive as workers. The rest? They call it population optimization. Dr. Park So-young sat down heavily. They're going to commit genocide. Lee Hyun-woo stared at the massive council station. Somewhere inside, alien leaders were calmly discussing the murder of billions of humans like it was a business meeting. They saw humans as animals, problems to be solved, resources to be managed. "Get us back to Earth," he ordered. "Maximum speed." As the new soul turned toward home, Lee Hyun-woo thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was 7 years old and wanted to be a spaceship captain like her father. In 30 days she might be dead, along with everyone else he loved. But there was something the aliens didn't know about humans. Something they'd missed while they were looking down on Earth with contempt. Humans had been listening to alien communications for a long time before making contact. They knew this day might come. The question was whether humanity's secret preparations would be enough to save them from the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. In 30 days they would find out. The countdown to Earth's judgment had begun. Dr. Yoon Jae-sung remembered the day everything changed. 53 years ago, he was a young scientist working at the Deep Space Listening Station in Antarctica. His job was to scan for radio signals from space, hoping to find signs of alien life. He found them. The signals came from everywhere, thousands of different sources across the galaxy. As the translation computers worked day and night, the messages became clear. Advanced civilizations were talking to each other, trading, sharing technology, and ruling over vast empires. But there was something else in those messages that made Dr. Yoon Jae-sung's blood run cold. They talked about lesser species, like humans talked about insects. He read discussions about wiping out entire civilizations for being disruptive or inefficient. Alien leaders casually mentioned destroying planets full of intelligent life because those species had asked for equal treatment. Dr. Yoon Jae-sung brought the recordings to his government. Within weeks, secret meetings were held in every major nation on Earth. The world's leaders faced a terrible truth. Humanity was not alone, and they were surrounded by monsters. "We have maybe 50 years before they notice us," Dr. Yoon Jae-sung told the emergency assembly. "When they do, they'll either enslave us or kill us. We need to be ready." That was how Project Erebus began. Now standing in the hidden shipyard beyond Pluto, Dr. Yoon Jae-sung watched the final pieces of humanity's secret weapon being installed. The shipyard itself was a miracle of engineering, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid and completely invisible to outside scanning. For 50 years, thousands of Earth's best scientists and engineers had worked here in secret. "Dr. Yoon, the reactor is ready for final testing," called engineer Kwon Hye-jin from across the massive construction bay. She was the genius who had solved the power problem. Alien ships used fusion reactors, but the Erebus needed something much stronger. Kwon Hye-jin had created the first successful fusion dark matter hybrid reactor. It could generate as much energy as a small star, enough to power weapons that could crack planets. The reactor core alone was bigger than most human spaceships. "How are the weapons coming along?" Dr. Yoon Jae-sung asked Dr. Han Young-soo. who was checking readings on a nearby computer. "The planetary decimation array is working perfectly," Dr. Han Young-soo replied. "We can punch through any known shield technology and destroy a planet's core in minutes. The quantum tunnel torpedoes are even better. They ignore shields completely by existing in multiple dimensions at once." General Nam Dong-wook joined them, looking tired but satisfied. For 50 years, he had managed the most complex deception in human history. While aliens watched Earth through their spy satellites, they saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see: primitive chemical rockets, basic fusion drives, and simple space stations. They never saw the hidden construction sites, the secret research facilities, or the advanced weapons being built in deep space. General Nam Dong-wook made sure that every alien observer reported the same thing. Humans were a young, weak species with barely any space technology. "The deception is holding," General Nam Dong-wook reported. "Alien intelligence services still think our fastest ships use chemical fuel. They have no idea we've had faster-than-light travel for 30 years. What about our hidden bases?" Engineer Kwon Hee-jin asked. 47 secret outposts in 21 star system. The general smiled, each one equipped with weapons platforms and cloaked supply ships. "If they want a war, they'll find humans everywhere they turn." Dr. Yoon Jae-sung walked to the observation deck and looked at their masterpiece. The Erebus was 5 kilometers long and shaped like a black knife. Its hull was covered in advanced armor that could absorb energy weapons and deflect physical attacks. Along its sides, weapon ports housed enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. But the most important part was invisible: the cloaking system that made the ship undetectable to any known scanning technology. The aliens would never see it coming. "Sir," called Lieutenant Colonel Oh Ji-hoon from the command center, "we're getting reports from Earth. The diplomatic mission has failed." Dr. Yoon Jae-sung had been expecting this news, but it still hurt to hear. "What are our orders?" "Admiral Kim Tae-ho wants the Erebus ready for deployment in 72 hours. All weapon systems need to be at full capacity." Dr. Han Young-soo nodded grimly. "The main array is calibrated and ready. We can target any planet in the galaxy." "What about the crew?" Engineer Kwon Hye-jin asked. "Captain Shin Woo-jin and his team arrived yesterday," General Nam Dong-wook replied. "They've been training for this mission for 10 years. Every person on that ship volunteered, knowing they might not come home." Dr. Yoon Jae-sung thought about Captain Shin Woo-jin. The man was a brilliant military commander and completely dedicated to protecting Earth. But he was also a father of 2 young children. Like everyone else in Project Erebus, he was willing to sacrifice everything to keep humanity free. "The psychological warfare systems are ready too," added Dr. Lim Yoon-bi, joining the group. She had designed the computer viruses and communication jammers that would cripple alien networks. Once we attack, their fleets won't be able to talk to each other or coordinate their defenses. Engineer Kwon Hye-jin brought up a holographic display showing the galaxy's major civilizations. Red dots marked the most important military targets: fortress worlds, fleet bases, and command centers. "We've identified 47 primary targets. If we hit them all simultaneously, we can destroy their military power in a single day." "And if they surrender?" General Nam Dong-wook asked. "Then we stop," Dr. Yoon Jae-sung said firmly. "This weapon exists to protect humanity, not to conquer the galaxy. We're not like them." Dr. Han Young-soo pulled up another display showing Earth's defensive preparations. "The home system is ready too. We have weapons platforms hidden in the asteroid belt, cloaked ships stationed at every jump point, and automated defense systems around every inhabited planet." "How many ships do we have?" Lieutenant Colonel Oh Ji-hoon asked. "The aliens think we have maybe 100 vessels," General Nam Dong-wook smiled. "Actually, we have over 3,000. Most are small and designed for stealth attacks, but they'll be a nasty surprise for any invasion fleet." Dr. Yoon Jae-sung looked around at the faces of his colleagues. These people had dedicated their lives to this moment. They had worked in secret, sacrificing time with their families and normal careers, all to give humanity a chance at survival. "Are we really going to do this?" Engineer Kwon Hee-jin asked quietly. "Are we really going to become the most feared species in the galaxy?" "Only if we have to," Dr. Yoon Jae-sung replied. "But yes, we're ready. The aliens think they can treat us like animals because we seem weak. It's time to show them what happens when you threaten humanity." An announcement echoed through the shipyard. "All personnel, Prepare for final weapons testing. The Erebus will be ready for deployment in 60 hours. Dr. Yoon Jae-sung watched as thousands of workers hurried to complete their tasks. In 60 hours, Captain Shin Woo-jin would take humanity's ultimate weapon into space. The aliens had given Earth 30 days to surrender. They were about to learn that humanity had a different answer in mind.